Hi, it's Cooper Green from Get Your Bearings Adventure Racing, and talking a little bit about our race strategy for this 8-hour Silver Lakes race. We knew we had some really great competition out there, and we're going to have to do everything we could and have a really good day to be able to compete. And we're really thrilled to have walked away with the finish that we got. We're going to talk a little bit about our strategy and how it evolved throughout the race. Because what we actually planned on the beginning is not necessarily what happened in the race. So right from the start, all the racers in our race went to these first three checkpoints, and up here in this smaller map, you can see a little bit more detail. And I would say, I don't know, maybe the majority of them started going for number 3 first. And we were right there in the pack. I don't like to lead the pack out because I don't want to establish having people follow me. I like letting other people lead and everybody follow them, and then I'm just going to do my own thing. So we weren't first to checkpoint 3. And then I saw people flowing out of there, some following the ridge and some going straight west to maybe pick up the trail. I wanted to go up to 1 first, and I noticed that this whole area was relatively flat, not a lot of features. And up by 1, there was a significant ridge in steeper hills, and I thought we might be able to hit that just going across this relatively flat area in a direct fashion. So we took off from 3 and headed more or less in a straight bearing. And sure enough, when we got close, this hill became apparent. Went up to the top of the ridge, and we just followed the top of the ridge right up and hit number 1. So excited to hit number 1 with no other teams around us. For number 2, I headed straight more of an easterly bearing, and knew when I came over this ridge, I'd come into a low area, and then we could just look for the lowest spot, and that should be the depression number 2. That worked out well for us, and then we kind of angled our way back to the road and headed into the finish or the start, and it looked like we were all by ourselves coming out of there, and we were. It was great. We jumped on our bikes, kept our trekking shoes on, which was part of our strategy, and biked as fast as we could down to TA1. Got on the paddle boards in our shoes. We wanted to minimize our shoe changes throughout this race if we could, just to save a few minutes here and there. So we did the paddleboard in our shoes and jumped in the canoe. And then the canoe was a little strategy as well. Instead of going in a clockwise fashion, I thought that it might be tough to pick out these coves coming up the coast. And also, if you went in a clockwise fashion, you have to go directly against the wind across the lake. So I said, let's use the wind, get it straight across the lake fast, and we could pretty much see based on where the houses were, where we needed to go to pick up the checkpoint. So that's what we did. Straight across the lake, right to where the checkpoint was at 7. Then, of course, the lake is real easy to follow down to this corner and get into the canal, and then come back up to the finish. And we're just so thrilled to be coming out of there still in first place, I think by about 5 minutes. We're not used to that, so once again, we left our trekking shoes on, did not change into our bike shoes because we knew it was a relatively short bike. Once again, and not wanting to lead people around, when we bike down here, instead of jumping into TA2 right away, which I figured most people would do, we came up and decided to pick off these points so we wouldn't have to come to this area later. So we rode up the road, saw this nice open area and the steep hill, dropped our bikes here. Ran in checkpoint 22, and then I had fun showing Michelle a little trick. The sun was directly pointing us to checkpoint 23. I said, follow the sun. And that's all we did. And we followed the sun, and the features played out beautifully. Got to checkpoint 23. I said, all right, follow your shadow. And we had a nice downhill run back out to 22. We actually grabbed our bikes since we were passing by them again and moved them down the hill until the steep part of the hill started fading away, and we could actually see this property line here. There was a nice fence, a nice little house there. Dropped our bikes on this side of the road and came straight in towards 21. One thing I noticed as soon as we got in the woods here is there was a re-entrant. But it didn't seem like we were going far enough, so I figured this was a case where on the USGS maps, all the little re-entrants are not necessarily depicted. So we went through, I think, 3 of them before we came to a major re-entrant, and sure enough, 21 was there. Back to our bikes, and then into TA2. By the time we got to TA2, there were quite a number of teams there, and so we didn't have to lead around there. Have a quick video on this section, which was a fun section. Really loved it. Thanks again, Mark. Coming out of TA2, once again, left our trekking shoes on and worked our way down to checkpoint 17. Dropped our bike here, up the steep hill 18, 19, and then kind of came downhill and angled out to hit the road, and then angled in to hit 15. 15, that was a long distance to travel, and this topography was kind of hard to see on this 1 to 24,000 scale USGS map. So we came in a little bit south of it, actually, but then looked around and worked it out, made our way to 15. Kind of angled back out, hit the road, grabbed our bikes, brought our bikes up here till we could see this hill, and the trail was heading south. Dropped our bikes, ran up, got 16, came back down to our bikes, then we changed into our bike shoes. Okay, so here's our first shoe change of the race. And we, thanks to another longtime friend and competitive racer who suggested doing the whole biking from here on out. That's what we did. We left our bike shoes on and came and got 20. Jumped up and got 24. Came back down because we didn't want to travel down this hill and work our way back up it. So we came back down and worked our way to 25. And then from there, we wanted to do all the biking. So we just worked our way up this road and turned right here. I'm going to take you to the north map. And reorient ourselves. Let's see, Weston Church, came out here, found this little trail, came up to 42. Once again, didn't want to work our way down and back up. So we backtracked slightly from 42, came across and up and over and up, picked up 41 on the way up. As we came up, this trail no longer, or we didn't spot this going up. I was hoping to, but we didn't, so we ended up biking all the way to 37 and picking up the 2-track. 2-track, we came down, followed it to 40, then 39, and then we backtracked because we had crossed over this nice little road, cut up the road, and it ended up being sandy. I was thinking about taking it straight north further, but with it being sandy and tough traveling, and the trail was actually nicely rideable, we jumped back on the trail. And came up and picked up 38. Came back out to this intersection and then worked our way out to 37. And then it was road riding from there. Back down to 36 and back to the south map. 36 down. Now we're getting towards the end of the race, and we're at the point where we didn't think we were going to be able to clear the whole course. We may not be able to. So as we biked by the start and the finish, we timed ourselves to see how long it would take to bike from here out to TA3 so that we would know how long it would take to bike back from the finish. And at TA3 we started the dunes section. And I'll go talk about that in a separate video. We didn't end up clearing all the points in the dune section, but we thought that was another strategy that played out really well for us because at that point we had to change our shoes, and the dunes take a lot out of your legs, and if we would have done that before all the biking, that may have hindered how well we did on the biking. So that was our strategy.